G'day battlers. Today I'm here with a wonderful panel of wonderful people, and today we're going to be talking about the Labyrinth Cup. It's a very complicated meta. There's a lot going on, a lot of different picks to choose from, a lot of different ways to build your team, and we're going to go through absolutely everything, the entire cup right now. So yeah, let's get into it. Starting off with, who are you people? How did you get here? Where am I? So if you do want to kind of tell us about yourselves, and OBS automatically has ordered it by alphabetical order. So if we want to just start off with NHoff and work that way, I think in the last stream I actually said alphabetical order, not realizing that it actually ordered it that way, but it shouldn't be ordered that way on your screen maybe. So shouldn't be too hard to work out alphabetical order. But NHoff, who are you?
Yeah, who am I? I am one of the admins for Girls at PvP. I'm a meta analyst with Go Stadium, and an article writer for Go Stadium, and also a moderator for Elfindiel's stream. And now I've started doing a stream, like just about when I put out a new article, just to get like a video analog for it. So yeah, Sylph Battler started in season 2 with Sinister Cup. Had just gotten back into the game around then. But yeah, real fan of PvP, real fan of just having fun with the game. And very excited to be talking about Labyrinth Cup today.
Heck yeah. Awesome to hear like more people coming in like season 2 and stuff as well. And also great timing getting in at the start of season 2. Like that's always the best time to hop in. The very start. Don't miss a single bit of rank. I mean, some people prefer to get in at the end so they can learn what PvP is so that they can then start a bit fresh rank wise. But yeah, Mel Good's already on it with the shout outs as well. So thank you, Mel. But Nesabethan, is that how you say it? That's also an important question.
I've changed how I say it myself, so it's sort of unpronounceable.
Fantastic.
But yeah, that's close enough. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm a UK player. I've done Sylph since the start, GBL since the start as well. Also one of the meta analysts on the. I think we all are on the Go Stadium team. So I've contributed towards some of the graphics, which is how I started getting involved as well. And yeah, like everyone else, I love PvP. Not sure what else there is to say.
Just hashtag battler. That's the only word.
Yeah,
two words. But yeah, Twastell. Everyone knows Twastell. You don't need to speak. We can just move on. But really, Twastell, on to you.
Yeah, so I'm a moderator for Go Stadium. I kind of chime in the meta channels while these guys are having far more sophisticated discussions and just, meme them, troll them, or point out something that maybe they're missing. Sometimes it is something they're missing, or sometimes I'm just being dumb. They're like, oh, we already thought about that. But trying to help out here and there. And yeah, this is a great team of people who put in a lot of hard work for all our different meta-analysis. So yeah. And I don't know how I got here. There was a Zoom link and I was told to click it, and now I'm here.
You're stuck now. You are stuck. There's no escaping. But Tangent, last but not least, the man who is missing his 444s in the Zoom name. But
should always add them. I also have to say this is like the weirdest alphabetical order I've ever seen, because we went NH, then NE, and then TW, and then TA. So like,
oh wait, snap!
Very weird alphabetical order.
They have a different alphabet in Australia.
we teach it different down here. Look, the first letter matters, and then you go backwards from the second letter. Everyone knows that.
Anyways, yeah.
Could have corrected me earlier.
Nah, it put me last in the order, so I was kind of okay with that. But yeah, no, I'm from Ottawa, Canada, so Canada Battler. I've been battling since season 1, since the Boulder Cup. Didn't actually end up doing a ranked Boulder Cup because we just never had 8 people. Even we actually did one.
Hey, same here. I did one that had 7 people and thought it was ranked, and then realized at the end of the month it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I've come a long way, because when I did that Boulder Cup the first time, I fought with the Steel Vein Starmie, and I could not hit 3 reins for the life of me, like when trying to charge up moves. So like I was really bad.
Throw back to 3 rings, by the way.
Right? Yeah, remember the 3 reins? Yeah. And anyways, yeah, I'm part of the Go Stadium analyst team, working on like the meta draft bits, working on the haven't done it in a while, but worked on the stat swap articles. Probably try to bring that back at some point in the future. It's a really good article, but this meta was a little bit tough to bring it back for, because it's so wide open.
Yeah, save swaps that are in the Great League. Just everything.
I think for this meta, pretty much there's a lot of things you can do. It's really team dependent, because there's so many different teams you'll face. But like pretty much anything could theoretically be a safe swap in this meta if you just get the right team for it.
Yeah, your team versus other team. Any of your 6 could become the safe swap, but that is all stuff that we can get into once we start, which is right now. So the Labyrinth Cup, it is obviously there is a lot available in the Labyrinth Cup. It's like Great League -9. So it's kind of like Open Great League, but not quite like Open Great League, because obviously we're missing all those top meta picks, the Azumrals, I was going to say the Bastiodons, but I don't know for sure that he's banned, but the fact that I haven't seen him yet makes me assume that he is on that ban list.
Yeah, Bastiodon's banned.
Yeah, he would pretty much appear literally anywhere, but we're assuming that everyone here knows what the Labyrinth Cup is. Are there any like just quick thoughts about the Labyrinth Cup? Kind of like, is it a really good meta that's like you're seeing a lot of different teams? Are you seeing it already condensed down to 6? Everyone's literally already using, your same team of Vigoroth, Jellicent, whatever.
There's definitely some variety, but at the same time, because of the kind of team building restrictions, the meta does centralize around some picks that you see quite often, just because you can only have one of a particular type, and so just needing to counter specific things, certain mons start showing up quite frequently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Vigoroth for one.
Yeah,
the Vigoroth, Lil, and Marowak are probably the big 2 in my mind that I see on a lot of teams, but there's definitely still some variety.
Yeah, personally, I'm definitely seeing a lot of variety in teams. You're going to have Vigoroth on 2/3 of teams, but you're still seeing a lot of different ways that people have kind of followed the typing chain. I've picked an Ice Fairy. I now cannot pick Wigglytuff. So instead, I'm going to bring this, and then I'm going to bring the.
Right. I think the bigger thing with Wiggly actually is it's normal typing.
Yeah.
You can't pick Wiggly with Vigoroth or Diggersby, and those are 2 very popular normal types.
Yeah. We actually briefly considered putting Wigglytuff in the trash can on the draft pick, just because of the fact that it completely eliminates the normal type for you.
Yeah. It's a pretty good reason to not take that standard charmer that almost always gets brought. So I guess
but I was gonna say, it's also from the last time I faced a Wigglytuff, it's still trying to get to that charge move. Like it's still trying to get there. So
rest in peace. So we should probably get into it already. Go Stadium has the graphic ready to go, talking through the entire Labyrinth Cup. So I think I can just screen share the wonder of Zoom. Click, share screen, share Labyrinth Cup meta snapshot. Here we go. It'll just full screen it, block this off, and make sure that we can move us to the top here. I think. Oh no, how do we do it?
Or the side.
Oh no. Oh no, now we're massive. This is still a professional stream.
Yep.
You don't need to show us. You can just hide us while we do the graphic.
Yeah.
Oh, this works.
Well, you can hide everyone but Tristan. Just keep that
good point. Okay, but here we are in the Labyrinth Cup meta snapshot. So there is a lot going on because it is that Open Great League. So there's so many picks that are eligible. But does someone want to volunteer to kind of briefly take us through what we're actually looking at here?
Tangent?
Help us understand.
Sure, I can do that. So yeah, basically, if you're looking at like a solid arrow from something, it means that Pokemon should be pretty confidently winning. I do incorporate a slight energy disadvantage, so you can kind of see what Pokemon are safe to swap into something else. So for example, you'll see like dotted lines for certain Pokemon. Like, for example, Abomasnow to Dittersby is a dotted line, just kind of because you have to be very careful about Fire Punch. I mean, any Abomasnow really does not like fire, so like if you're swapping into like a Dittersby that already has like 4 or 5 Mud Shots into it, you're probably not going to be able to make it through that matchup. So
don't do that.
Yeah, it's fairly safe in a certain sense, as it actually needs 2 Fire Punches to take it out, and you are dealing some pretty effective damage. But yeah, you don't want to be like going into a Dittersby that's like loaded with energy. So that's kind of what this is trying to show.
Yeah, so I'm seeing that there's kind of, at first I was like, okay, there's kind of 6 sort of groups here. You've got dark types in the top left. You've got these usually anti-grassy sort of picks in the top middle with Alolan Marowak and Galvantula. You've got your, what's that top right group? Anti-something.
Grass and ice.
Yeah, grass and ice. Abomasnow, the perfect crossover.
Yeah.
Then we've got, I'm not going to say Mud Boy talking about the bottom right because we'll ruffle too many feathers, but ground coverage in the bottom right. We've got these sort of tanky, I was going to say steel types, just tanky dudes in that bottom middle. The bottom left isn't quite one group. You've got the fighters, and then you've also got the ghosts, who I noticed that there's not too many arrows coming off the ghost types, because I guess they are a little bit different, especially with Jellicent having that bubble beam bait, who can always be a little bit of a sim hero. But there's kind of 7 groups, and then you've also got your honorable mentions over on the right hand side, the wild cards over on the left, and the trash can, the floor trash can. That I mean, we can kind of quickly talk about so from this snapshot. Is it a good idea? Like, can I just literally go, okay, I'm going to pick 1 out of 6 of all of these groups and we're good to go. I'll run off into the sunset, have the perfect team and win all of my tournaments. Or do you have to kind of put a little bit more thought into it?
That's exactly it. We should just end the stream here.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget.
Yeah. There's actually 7 though.
Yeah. Yes. So you need to pick 6 out of 7. Uh-oh. You haven't made it easy enough for us, Tangent. But also, by the way, just to massively highlight the bottom right here, special thanks to Tangent for the Pokemon matchup relationships and Palamon for the graphic, who is not with us here, but they're with us in spirit. Palamon is an absolute legend who's been doing all sorts of graphics just for a very long time. It's been a very long time, Palamon doing graphics, but always super helpful. So we can kind of just get some brains turning here. How do you actually go from this snapshot to a team? How do we move in that direction?
I mean, I think a good way to approach team building, especially in this cup, is by starting with looking at cores. So looking at 2 Pokemon that are very complementary to each other and cover each other's weaknesses. I think Labyrinth team building can be very core focused. You could potentially fit in multiple cores into one team. Yeah,
that's very true. Like, just with I guess that's kind of a function of Open Great League sort of being a thing, right? Like, there's obviously a lot of cores that run around in the GBL Great League meta, and so you can pretty much just use all of them here, except the ones that revolve around, I guess, the ones that are usually built into cores.
Right, but there's some cores that open up a little more because of what's banned. So, one that I think is pretty good here is Wireless Alolan Marowak, which isn't normally as good because they both lose to Azumarill. They both struggle a little bit with Altaria, but with those 2 banned, that's the Wireless Alolan Marowak core is a lot stronger. Also, Scrafty's banned too. That helps it as well.
Yeah, lots
and
of
it
that
doesn't love Defisk either.
Yeah, that too.
Right, definitely.
But yeah, you're absolutely right that a lot of stuff is kind of more usable now. That there's a lot less threat going on, and I guess it's helpful that you can kind of assume that there's not going to be any sort of charm hole or the like popping up because of that one type restriction. Obviously, there's ways around it, but I don't think many people are going to go that route at least. So your wirelesses, for example, are going to have a little bit of an easier time knowing that there's actually less of that going on.
You have to live for the charm riot too. Charm Skull Dash Raichu.
It's coming.
Using your
It is
electric
coming.
spot.
Yeah.
Well, and then you can go for Dawn Fan, and you can go for
Bear tick.
Life Art.
Silk Caddy, Bear Tick.
I'm pretty sure I heard that you could do a six charm team. But
I was gonna say if you take Beartit though, you actually invalidate Alolan Ninetales. But I guess
that's true.
But then you can play Clefable though. So I mean, there is a way. That actually might be the better way to do it.
Yeah, it probably is the better way to do it. Sorry, Lola Ninetales, you are not in the all charm squad. But so I guess the thing to start with when you're building a team is normal types, right? Like it is just the normal type. You cannot go past. You're either picking your Vigoroth or you're picking Diggersby. As it actually went over in that article, which nope, not this one. Oh, right, I full screened out of this one. The article, when I've closed out of it, down, there's a lot of words. But basically, the normal types are seemingly on like either Vigoroth or Diggersby was on literally every team. Is that right? Every winning team?
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's like, we're going.
Oh, I was gonna say it was a fairly low sample size at that point, but at that point, like I think it was 17 teams that had been analyzed, and yeah, all 17 had either Diggersby or Vigoroth on it. So
yeah, so they're obviously pretty good. Now, XL Lickitung is another one that could come in later in the month after Kanto, but you know that's still another 11, 12 days away, so we don't have to worry about it quite yet. Plus, you know, it's still a massive investment, so I don't know how many you will see. It's going to be good. You're going to see a fair bit. But for now, for current meta, is there any reason, can anyone advocate for a normal type that is not Vigoroth or Diggersby? Anyone?
I think there's always some play to Obstagoon.
That's true.
I'm a big Lanoon fan.
It's got better ghost matchups than Vigoroth or Diggersby. It's going to have that better Alolan Marowak matchup. Really should stun Alolan Marowak, actually. Better Drift Blim if people are using that. So I think there's a lot of merit to Obstagoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
I was going to say Lanoon is actually pretty good. We have it in the honorable mentions, but it shows up as one of the better like Starmie Wishtash core breakers. It shows up as something that's a really strong anti-Alolan Marowak. Pretty much only Vigoroth is the only thing that kind of holds it back.
Yeah, and obviously you are going to see a lot of Vigoroth, but
no.
I mean, no, not a cup with Vigoroth having a lot of Vigoroth, but obviously being super weak to one Pokemon, you're always going to be super weak to something, so it doesn't mean that you can't bring it. And Linoon is definitely one of those picks that has a lot of play everywhere. And there's always the chance that you could run Dig instead of Grass Thunder. So you'd fit a Dig in there, maybe hit, you know, a Registeel a little bit harder.
Dig is so bad, though.
Yeah. And non-stab.
Never mind. I mean, none of Linoon's moves are going to be stabbed with Grass Knot and Thunder. Yeah. But yeah, it doesn't help Dig's case at all. So assuming, like, I know in that early analysis with those 17 tournament sample size that Obstagoon had like negative play. Like it was used, you know, 3 times and it did terribly all 3 times. Like it just could not hit the top 3 at all. So it didn't seem to show
it's such a small sample size. Like you don't know like the skill level of players, like also who they got paired with, what the rest of their team was. Like it's with such a small sample size, it's hard to know for sure.
Yeah,
and, like,
exactly.
I'm sure anyone can make most of these Pokemon work in the right setup.
Yeah. Like Vigoroth is superior to Obstagoon until you face a Drift Blim, and then you realize, oh, I'm just getting destroyed.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Everything is pain.
We're going to go through the entire panel here right now. If you literally just had to pick 6 of these, you have to use a Pokemon from each of these 6 groups, and you have to ditch one of the groups. Which group are you ditching? Which group do you not need?
So, well, I think first I would go Drift Blim, and then I would go Mandibuzz, and then I would go Starmie, and just like pitch each of those from each group. Because that is not illegal in any way in this draft, right?
Not at all. Not at all.
And then, of course, I would also pick Alolan Marowak and Venusaur because we've proven in the past that they're honorary flyers. And then I would pick Diggersby as well because I feel like his arms would make like a nice little helicopter.
So
all flying teams.
If you decided to ditch Vigoroth.
Yeah. In all honesty, I probably would abandon the Probably the Ghost group, because I feel like I would just merge Alolan Marowak with that group in a sense.
Yeah, that's kind of how my actual team is.
What, the all-flying one?
Yes, the all-flying one. I snuck it past. I asked Mel, and she said that he would get me past customs and into the tournament with 6 flyers.
If anyone needs to beat the rules, just ask Mel. She's always happy to literally break any rule for you. Just ask, she'll love it. NHoff, you have to cut a group. Where are you cutting? Are you cutting the ghosts?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say my team is every other group. It just has some sub outs from the sidelines. So I'm running Zweilous, Alolan Marowak, Skarmory, Vigoroth, and then I'm running Quagsire instead of the 4 in the bottom right, but Shadow Quagsire. And then I'm running Chestnut instead of the Grass and Ice in the top right, but it's still, a grass type. It still fills that
fills that role.
Yeah,
like that's where it's coming
so
from. You're still
it is very similar. In those six categories.
Yeah, for sure. Nesabethan, you've got to cut something.
I reckon the tanks group at the bottom middle. I think you can substitute a lot of their things elsewhere, because the steel types anti-fairy matchup you can substitute with fire types, or anti-ice as well. You can substitute with fire types. So a Marowak or a Ninetales substitute with Talonflame or something. And then their anti-flying matchup sort of varies slightly depending on the flyer. So you can sometimes cover those matchups with different picks elsewhere. I think with the diagram like this, how I often use it is because you could have a team building structure where you go like 1 slot, 2 slots, 3 slots, 4 slots, 5 slots, 6, which is often what we publish each month with Panellists graphic. But with a diagram like this, how I often use it is more instead of picking from 6 groups, just going, I might need coverage for Mandibuzz. What arrows point to Mandibuzz? And then choose options that way. That's how I think about this. If I'm using them.
Oh, I'm hearing sirens from someone's end. Something's going down. They've finally caught up to Twastell. But speaking of Twastell, obviously, as Nesabethan said, it's not the ultimate team building strategy to literally just ditch a group. But for the sake of things, if you had to cut one of these groups,
I think for the sake of things, the easiest one to ditch is the Ghost group, because you already have Alolan Marowak in that same group as Galvantula, and also you could make arguments for putting Jellicent with those water types in the bottom right. So yeah, I would probably cut the Ghost group.
Actually, entirely. So my team doesn't have any of that middle, tank slot, same as Nesabethan's pick. But my Jellicent is kind of more in that water sort of section. So I've really felt like, I don't like Drifloon very much in cups, just because it is very landed on the Vigoroth, which is always a bit of a game. But I really feel like Jellicent very much acts like the kind of mud dudes in the bottom right, because they kind of, it's got bubble, it's beating the tanks. You've got Bubble Beam and Shadow Ball, so you're doing a lot of water stuff, as well as Shadow Ball, which is just, nuke potential, which is I feel like it's similar. So I definitely agree with Twastell there on fitting that in. But if we just
I've also had a couple drafts of teams where I think I was forgoing the fighter spot as well, actually.
So using Diggersby as a normal type?
I actually wasn't using any normal type. I wasn't using normal type, but yeah. I still haven't settled on a team I'm super happy with. I feel like every team I make is either weak to Regirock, Alolan Ninetales, or Galvantula.
Alolan Ninetales and Marowak are definitely harder Pokemon to cover. And Galvantula, very hard to cover in this meta, because I've been through the PvPoke, team builder a couple of times, and there's always there's still 2 top meta picks that you're still not beating. I'm like, how did this happen? I thought I was doing so well. But it is what it is sometimes. Does anyone want to advocate for any of these, any of the wildcard picks on the left-hand side, other than Obstagoon, who's obviously been talked about, and Chestnut, he's also hanging out there. Are there any of these other wildcards that really need to come in here?
I'll do it because I was going to say my team is actually, but the first team I've made, I'll be making a bunch more teams this month anyway, so I'll be sort of doing variety. But I actually skipped normal completely on my first team, and I've actually skipped a couple different sections in the draft pit. So I went with Toxatrode over Vigoroth, so sort of the fighter. I didn't use any dark types. I have Regirock. I don't have any of the bottom right group, like the mud group. I actually went with Rainy Task Form instead. And for like the grass type, I actually went with, so I was going to actually advocate for Tropius is actually, this is something that came out of the Torbreakers article that NHoff did, which was really definitely did a plug for giving that a reach, as it's really useful for team building. That's actually where my Rainy Task Form pitch came from as well, because I wanted something to beat Wisdash Starmery together. So that's why I went with Rainy Task instead of the other ones. But yeah, Tropius is actually a really good teammate for Regirock.
Yeah, right. And I guess that kind of services back to cores, kind of. So I know Twastell mentioned the core with Zweilous and Alolan Marowak, and we could, like, I mean, I've got the Core Breakers article over here that we can kind of look at that the man, the myth, the legend NHoff put together. I'll have, like, you know, in the YouTube video, I'll have the links to all of these articles in the, you know, in the description below. And they're all on the stadiumgaming.gg website. So they're all there. They've got a whole bunch of stuff in GBL as well as Sylph. So he's got a lot of cores here. So, you know, we've got Skarmory plus Whiscash, for example, which, as mentioned before, Linoon can be a bit of a core breaker there. And so he's kind of got breakdowns here with a bunch of things that do beat both of these in different levels of how much they do break up these cores that you are going to see. So I guess my question was going to be, what sort of cores are there? But NHoff has already done the work in finding these cores. And so we've got the Skarmory plus Whiscash as one core that's very strong. Skarmory plus Vigoroth, kind of similar to Open Great League, I guess, in a way. I've got Drifloon plus Vigoroth, very scary. Galvantula plus Whiscash, and Galvantula plus Diggersby. Hang on, it still goes. There's Politoed plus Alolan Ninetales. There are a lot of cores in this article, a lot of things that you can check out. So are there any cores that people have kind of are really gravitating towards other than that Zweilous plus Alolan Marowak core? And what are you scared of bringing that core in if you have one? Which, you know, at this point in the meta, I'm still building a lot of teams, a little bit hard to settle on some stuff. But is anyone kind of moving towards a sort of core that they're really liking in this cup?
I've sort of universally been a big fan of Skarmory, Vigoroth, and like a Mudboy, like as a trio, because you instantly get kind of two cores in one. So like I said earlier, I'm running Skarmory and Shadow Quagsire and Vigoroth, all three on my team. Obviously with Skarmory and Vigoroth, the big fear you have is Alolan Marowak. That's like every time I look at putting those two in my team, you just have to organize it correctly. Which I don't always hate the Vigoroth Alolan Marowak matchup, just because, you know, you land a Bulldoze and it's not the end of the world. And then Skarmory and Quagsire, I'm really afraid of seeing Tangent with his Rainy Cast form come in and muck up my day. And then
you should have told people the strats. You've told people exactly how to beat you. This is
well,
that's a tough thing.
On the team.
Yeah, I have to use them somewhere. That was actually a tough thing with Core Breakers this month, was like, you don't really expect, so in something like in Catacomb Cup, you expect to see Lapras and Venusaur a lot, because it was like two of the top 6 in that meta, and they made a really nice core. So you can kind of craft your team around trying to break that up more. In a meta like this, it's a lot more about looking at what to put on your team to make those cores than looking to break them. Even though Regirock and Tropius are like an amazing core in this meta, not a lot of people have a Tropius, and even fewer have a Regirock for Great League. So it's a method of working through what you expect to see, and then just more so making sure you cover your bases, which is what I love about cores to begin with, because I have Zweilous and Marowak, and then I have Vigoroth and Skarmory. Vigori, just combine the two. And with those 4, I've already covered things twice in one of the 4 because the cores are tight enough on their own. And then I kind of just flush out the rest with Quagsire and Chestnut because I looked pretty soft to Regirock. So if I did see it, I won, 2 more answers to it, or, whatever it might be across my tournaments. And that's just how I went about crafting it, using that kind of mindset and analysis I put into that article.
Yeah, which very good article, by the way. Read it all. Well, actually, at the end of this stream, I'll just spam link. I think Mel already came in with a bunch of links. Yeah, Mel's linked them all in the chat. But I'll spam link everything at the end. So everyone is, mandatory reading of everything at the end of this stream, because there is just a lot of Labyrinth Cup info that's out there. I think a lot of people kind of gravitate towards saying that self-content creators only means YouTube and Twitch, but these are out here. There are so many articles that are out there talking about more Labyrinth Cup stuff that is so incredible to look at, and so much learning going on. You've got Go Stadium here putting out so much content. Seriously, get on stadiumgaming.gg because they are putting out so much stuff, this awesome team of people. And also JRE Seawolf is another one who's putting out a bunch of articles over on Reddit that are actually pretty sure they're being uploaded to the Sylph website as well, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the case. So there is a bunch more resources out there, including Go Stadium. Super helpful. And we've also got this team building graphic that we haven't actually looked at yet, but that is not a bad topic to go into next. More actually talking about team building a little bit more. So I mentioned before that normal types might be a very, very nice spot to start because Vigoroth and Diggersby are so OP, and you really don't want to be using up your normal type slot elsewhere. So it's good to kind of get that out of the way, I suppose. And whether you go for the straight normal Vigoroth, do you want to replace it with a different fighter, or do you want to go with Diggersby, use up the ground typing? I guess you don't really need the ground typing if you literally have something from that role, but you are using up the ground typing and the normal typing. So you're going dual type versus monotype. Vigoroth is so strong, but also people are going to bring Vigoroth counters.
I would argue potentially wait till later to decide on your normal type. That's what I've done in some of my team building, especially because Diggersby does take up that ground typing. Sometimes you want to put some of the other pieces of the puzzle together first and see, does my team need a Diggersby or a Whiscash or, a Stunfisk or no ground type? Would Politoed be better there? So, I do agree they're both strong, and so you could start off by picking them. But again, at least the way I've gone about my team building so far is I've usually started looking at other cores and then see which one of those two might fit in better later. And like I said, and I think Tangent said as well, I think we've both come up with some drafts that had no normal types in the team. Just because, you start with a couple cores and you put some of the pieces of the puzzle together, and the normal types just don't fit in quite as well as something else that you could pick. Like maybe a Toxicroak fits your team better than a Vigoroth, for example. Maybe the Whiscash or the Stunfisk fits your team better than Diggersby.
Yeah, that's actually, way bigger brain than what I was saying. Does everyone else agree with Twastell, or
Yeah, that's how I built my team. Is I started with Regirock, Tropius. I thought I wanted to build a team around Regirock, and I knew that Tropius was probably one of the best partners for Regirock. So I just started thinking about what are the threats to either that individual tour. There's not a lot of specific threats to that tour, but what are the big threats to each individual Pokemon? What does Regirock not want to see? Doesn't want to see counter users. It doesn't want to see the mud users. So what else can I add to my team to further sort of get rid of those as threats?
Yeah. Right, yeah, and finding some different cores. So, Tangent said he started off with that Regirock Tropius, which is a good core. I was finding that Venusaur is also a good substitute in that core. It covers a lot of the same things. Doesn't take up your flying spot, so you could maybe use a Skarmory or a Drifblim or something later if you wanted. And the other thing I didn't love about Tropius is best in that core with Air Slash to beat other grass types. But then Air Slash Tropius actually loses to Regirock, which is kind of frustrating for a grass type. So it's kind of like in Venusaur, they're better potentially as a better Regirock counter. And then like another core that's a little underrated, I think, is Regirock Galvantula actually holds up pretty well, because Galvantula covers most water types, besides Hoff's Quagsire, basically. Covers most fighters, most grasses. So that core's really only worried about, for the most part, like Quagsire and Unova Stunfisk.
Now, I could be shut down here, but just while I'm thinking of it, Energy Ball Galvantula? Anyone?
Probably not, but...
I mean, you can definitely catch some like Mud Boys off guard, but you're just giving up a lot.
Discharge and Lunge is just too powerful to want to give up either. Oh,
yeah. You could probably give up
yeah.
Discharge in certain ways, but you definitely would lose a few things. But yeah.
Totally.
Cool. I think I missed that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was my internet or must have been. Oh well.
I think Hoff's frozen.
Oh. Well, I can hear everyone, but
yeah, I can hear you clearly, but your camera's a bit video not as clear. Well, a little bit more.
Yeah.
But voice is the most important thing, and just give us a good like still shot, and then your voice will carry the rest of the way through. But I guess, I mean, if any of you are willing to share, it's kind of popped up a little bit through, but what is your lineup that you're kind of liking as a team of 6? Obviously, there is a lot of teams of 6 that are still flying around people's head. But what is a team of 6 that you're kind of not hating? You're not hating. It's okay. Like I'm running a pretty bad team myself. It's definitely not thought through. You know, one of those teams where like, oh, the tournament deadline is now. I guess I better register. But if you put a little bit more thought.
I only have one team that I've built so far, because my other tournaments aren't starting until a couple days from now. So I still have a few. I can still slack on that for like a couple more days before I actually go through making new teams. But yeah, no, my team so far is Regirock, Tropius, Toxatrote. What were some of the other ones there? Rainy Task Form, Kanto Ninetales, and
nice.
Yeah, what was the last one on that team? Or is that the whole team? It's Tropius, Regirock, something on this.
Kanto Ninetales.
Kanto Ninetales, Rainy Task Form. Toxatrote. Yeah, I think that's actually 6. Maybe I'm just not counting right. Yeah,
I counted 5.
Tropius, Task Form, Ninetales. Yeah, I'm also only
counting
counting
5.
Yeah,
you're missing something. You've only got a team of 5.
And a surprise.
Yeah. What else do I have? I don't remember anymore. I have a 6. I remember it. I'll let you know. Wait, does
that team have a normal type or no?
That team does not. That's the one that does not have a normal type.
Does it have like a Galvantula or something?
Galvarlol and Marowak?
That's what I'm wondering.
He wouldn't have a Alolan Marowak because he has Ninetales, but
I don't. Yeah, I have Ninetales, so I don't have a Alolan Marowak.
But Ninetales is actually made it onto my preliminary squad.
Maybe it's Zweilous. I wouldn't be surprised if I picked Zweilous. I just don't remember picking Zweilous.
It's just a neutral pick. You're not picking it to dominate many matchups. It's mostly there just to dragon breath everything and anything that comes in its path. Except Alolan Marowak. Alolan Marowak is the big thing that it just destroys.
I think it's really good here though. Just all its resistances.
Yeah, Zweilous is the last one.
Psychic, water, electric, fire, grass. Like that's a really good set of resistances.
Yeah. I just confirmed, it was Zweilous. Zweilous is the 6th.
And it's not weak to a ton. Like, yeah, it's weak to counter, but like with a little energy, it can often flip some of those counter type matchups. Like The only things it really hates seeing is like Charm and Alolan Ninetales. Assuming
Yeah.
that's running Powder Snow on the Alolan Ninetales, but
Yeah, I mean, Alolan Ninetales, with other fast moves, it's still doing a lot of damage as wireless, right?
Yeah.
Like Charm or Powder Snow.
Powder Snow's gonna crush it. Like I've faced a Powder Snow Alolan Ninetales outside of this tough with his Wayless. I think it was in Go Team Up I was facing, and just it did not end well. It was just terrible. Like, so it's really bad.
Yeah, Ninetales is a really hard Swirless counter, but at least the body slam's neutral, so if Swirless farms something else down, at least it can contribute damage towards the Ninetales.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even
Maybe
if
you got that.
if it can't take it on head on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have that 100 energy stored up, get into the lead and match up against the Ninetales, and maybe you'll do a little okay until it gets to a single Weather Ball, and then it's like, oh, okay, never mind. Man, Weather Ball. I've actually got double Ninetales in my team, Alolan and Kanto at the moment. The double Weather Ball duo, dynamic duo.
So the question for you two Kanto and Ninetales users, are you guys running, what fast move are you running on it?
Fire Spin.
Yeah, classic Fire Spin.
Yeah. It's
Elite
one less
TM.
it's one last fast elite TM that you need to use, and it's really nice because I like running Solar Beam with my Ninetales, so it's nice to have the extra energy gains. Like
Yeah. I mean, no, you go.
I was gonna say, Steve, the real question, if you're running both, is do you have the shiny Kanto Ninetales to throw your opponent off? Because it looks close enough to Alolan Ninetales.
Oh. So I'll
the
throw
mind
it in, they'll
games.
go, oh, I have to get out of this wireless match. Oh, no. Sadly, I'm not that blessed. We'll just have to wait for the Kanto tour. Actually, it's one of the exclusives, isn't it? Which one's
I believe
what?
so. Yep.
green.
I want to say
I think it's in red, isn't it?
No, it's in green.
No, it's green?
Can confirm green. I've been highly thinking about green just for that specific reason.
Well, I think I'm going to green, so maybe my lucky day. We'll have to wait and find out. On the 20th, coming soon, Kanto Tour.
Yeah.
But best one Pokemon in this meta. I'm waiting to hear anything but Vigoroth.
I'd say either Regirock or Wireless.
Regirock was wireless?
Yeah.
I mean, Regirock literally came up like every stage of the PV Poke team builder. Number one, Regirock, every single time. And I do not have one in Grey League. Like, come on, are you serious? Stop taunting me, PV Poke, with this wonderful big rocky monolith of a giant dude.
Yeah.
Very sad. Very strong, though.
Mhm.
Nesabethan.
I wasn't allowed to say Vigoroth, but I probably would say Vigoroth.
Darn it.
I mean, I think his safety is just really high, because the most popular ghost by a long margin is Marowak, and that's not that bad a matchup for Vigoroth. The most popular fighter, apart from Vigoroth itself, is Thoughtscroak, and even that's not terrible for Vigoroth because it can one-shot it with the Bulldoze, and with a small amount of energy, it can flip it if it has no shields. And even Body Slam, Thoughtscroak doesn't appreciate taking. So yeah, and it's just fast and it has powerful moves. It's fast move and it's charge move. So, but if I'm not allowed to go for it, I can always change my answer.
Number two.
Number two. I really like Politoed. I think it's kind of frustrating for me because my favorite ghost in the meta is probably Jellicent, just because of its vigorous matchup. But obviously you can't have both. But Politoed itself, it's so incredibly fast to a pretty high DPE move. It's just a really, really efficient Pokemon. It converts its energy really rapidly, and it puts a lot of shield pressure on people. So I just think that Weather Ball Mudshot moveset is really exceptional. And you have that annoying coverage dilemma of Earthquake plus Blizzard, Earthquake or Blizzard, because obviously Earthquake's walled by grasses, which are quite threatening to Politoed. And with the exception of Venusaur, of course, but grass as well, that's recycling. And blizzards walled by other water types like the mirror, which is really common. But you can dodge that problem if you manage to get your hands on a return polytope, which obviously requires low level account shenanigans, but it does have better coverage as well. So unless you run into Jellicent. Unless you run into Jellicent. I think in Pokemon Go, there's only 5 fully evolved Pokemon that resist Weather Ball and Return, and one of them is Jellicent. I think the others are Dialga, Ferrothorn, Giratina, and Napoleon. And obviously, in this meta, the only one you really see is Jellicent.
Mm-hmm. Which Napoleon's legal, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's legal.
Yes, Ferrothorn's also legal, but they're less common than Jellicent.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's the room for them in this trash can graphic? I'm not seeing it, Mom.
Hey, Ferrothorn's an honorable mention.
Yeah, Ferrothorn's in there.
Oh snap! He's right. I'm sorry, Ferrothorn. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it.
Empoleon, I will say, Empoleon's very strong, but giving up both water and steel for one Pokemon is just such a hard ask, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for one that isn't gonna crush the meta.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not worth it. Maybe stick to one of these other
what steel? I don't know. When I first saw the meta, I thought steels were going to be super central, but I've found a lot of times I'm not even inclined to run a steel. Skarmory is definitely good for sure, but if you want to go for a different flyer, like a Tropius or a Drifblim or something, that rules out Skarmory, and I just feel like the meta's kind of hostile to Registeel, with a little Marowak everywhere. Galvantula is pretty good. Politoed, Jellicent, Vigoroth.
Yeah. That's the thing.
I think if I wasn't...
Go for it.
Oh, I said, I think if I wasn't running Skarmory, I would probably run one of the Steel Psychics. Just for that better Vigoroth matchup than something like a Registeel that's pure Steel. And then also because Psychic as a typing isn't really desirable, because most of the big mono Psychic monoliths are banned already. For example, my team isn't running a Psychic. I don't know of many teams that are. So it's not like you're giving up a ton by opting for Bronzong or Jirachi. And
yeah,
they have play. I think a lot of people underestimate the Psychic that comes out from Jirachi from having played it in season 1 and 2 of GBL before Stunfisk was everywhere. A Whiscash tends not to shield versus Jirachi, and then suddenly takes a Psychic and is much worse for wear than it thought it would be.
Yeah.
But actually, obviously I picked Skarmory, so...
It's pretty interesting about the Psychic thing, just thinking about types that don't really matter. Because there are literally only 4 Psychic types on this graphic that I can count. 2 of them are Bronzong and Jirachi. And the other 2 are in the trash can down the bottom left.
I
heard a lot of words.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got Psychics as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Damn, so there's 5 on the graphic.
Yeah, I was going to say there's 3 in the honorable mentions, and that's pretty much it. So you're not really losing anything on the main graphic by going with the Psychic type. So
I think the trash can counts as the main graphic because it's not in this grayed out blacky sort of deal. It's on the background.
Those are some strong picks.
Yeah, they're so strong that they have to be contained in a metal cylinder to be able to just be shown to the public. I think
the biggest thing holding Psychic back too is the fact that Vigoroth is the most popular counter user, and it's not even weak to Psychic.
Yeah.
If Toxicroak was more popular, you might see more people running a Bronzong or a Jirachi just to have that confusion damage. But because Vigoroth is the most common, you're not even really doing that great, as well with a confusion user.
And with how common Dark is, I mean, I'm running as well as I've seen a lot of Mandibuzz as well for the people that have it. And then Ghost as well, either seeing Marowak or Jellicent on most teams that I've run into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess Ghost is one of those types that's it's always good. And in this sort of meta, it's going to be showing up in lots of different spots. So you've got Jellicent in that sort of water role. You've got Alolan Marowak in the fire role. You have the Drifblim users just rolling for that. Give me a Vigoroth. It actually are there any ghosts that are kind of hanging around, or is that kind of it?
Those are the main
Sableye.
I mean, yeah, you can run Sableye. There's always some play for like a Haunter, but not as good in this meta, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's a bit of Dark and Ground, and Vigoroth, who doesn't care about it either. Haunter's probably a trash can pick for this one. So it's actually interesting. So Regice is one that I know some people are looking at earlier for triple Reggie teams. And Regice is obviously still really good. It's got lock on, charges up so fast, you can get off so many charge moves. Why does it have to be in the trash can? Okay. Why is it there?
Tangent can talk about this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as someone who has built a Regice, just because I felt like doing it for Holiday Cup, I can assure you that Regice is unbelievably underwhelming.
Dang it.
The Regice is fun, but the problem with Regice is Ice typing is already a very tough defensive typing, and you're talking about a Pokemon that basically does 0 fast move damage. You're doing everything with your charge moves. So like you're not resisting anything. You're just taking tons of neutral damage, except for like ice. You resist ice. So you're just taking tons of neutral damage like everywhere, doing 0 fast move damage, just hoping to land a charge move at some point.
And your cheapest charge move is Earthquake, right?
It is. Like, I think the biggest problem for Regice is just the typing. If it was a steel type like Registeel, it would be amazing. But ice type just not resisting anything just means with the lack of any fast move damage, you're just constantly just like building up to charge moves that may or may not knock one thing out, but then you pretty much just get farmed by the next thing anyways, because you've already taken so much neutral damage.
Yeah, I mean, we see it meta after meta after meta, right? If there's an ice type, it's never a pure ice type. It's always going to be a Bulbasaur with Grass, a Frostlass with Ghost, a Alola Ninetales with Fairy. Actually, Snowy Castform did appear in one of the cups that was kind of recent, but I feel like people ran away from it anyway. Didn't really.
The biggest problem with Snowy Castform is it always gets walled by other ice types.
Yeah, it just doesn't have coverage. Actually, Snowy Castform has a ton of potential because, like, the thing that would make something like a Regice stand out is like Powder Snow plus Weather Ball. It's like such a good combination, such a powerful combination. But when you lack coverage, like, then that's what keeps Snowy Castform down. It's like, oh well, it's in an ice type meta, but anything else that's ice is, or anything that just resists ice for that matter. So like Alolan Marowak or like Registeel, like anything that resists ice, just it's just so bad against.
Yeah, it's interesting. Whenever there's a meta with a lot of ice types in, Snowy Castform always appears quite high on the PB Poke rankings because its neutral matchups are pretty good with that Weather Ball Powder Snow combination. But it never sees that much use. It's always quite a long way down the list of most popular ice types in actual tournaments, which is largely because of its lack of coverage.
Yeah, and especially because like it's usually like showing up in like Lapras Dugong metas, and those double resist ice, so they can just aggressively farm it, and it's that can be a game over situation.
Yeah,
or especially.
You go.
Especially for Labyrinth, I mean, you look at the top four. The top four, last I checked, is Politoed, Alolan Ninetales, Alolan Marowak, and Vigoroth. Not in that order, but those four. And it's like, okay, Politoed takes no damage, or takes only resisted damage from Snowy Castform. Alolan Ninetales takes only resisted damage from Snowy Castform. Alolan Marowak destroys Snowy Castform, and Vigoroth is just hitting it hard with those counters. It's just very hostile to it. And the same is true for most ice types that don't have that coverage elsewhere. Frostlass has use as a Vigoroth hard counter and as something that's more give or take with Alolan Marowak. And then obviously, like, I could go across all the other ice types of like that have coverage. That have like redeeming qualities about them, but yeah, Snowy Castform just falls into that so many metas are like this, where it's just like hostile to ice at the top.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that what was said before too is also true. Like, if Snowy Castform was allowed, it means that ice has been allowed, and there are always ice types that have better coverage than Snowy Castform. So it's like, it's just never the pick to go. Coverage is key. Coverage is key. Bottom line, you're not bringing something that can't do anything else. Interestingly, like a lot of the ice types seem to have shown up in this wild card slot over on the left with, is that Shadow Celio now?
Yeah.
Fresh coming to the scene. Lapras and Dugong. Shadow Celio must be scary with those shadow body slams coming through.
Yeah.
Like,
it just can't be TM'd yet is probably the main issue. That's one of the main reasons. And also, I mean, there's so many good ice types, like to use one of those, you're basically that's the main reason they're wild cards. They're really strong picks, but people aren't really using them to invalidate all other waters and all other ices by picking just one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. And there are better ones to pick generally in this meta.
Yeah,
I feel at least.
Yeah, because you're ruling out like Whiscash, Politoed, and Jellicent. I think that's the big one.
If you look at the picture, though, Lapras has solid coverage against most stuff, but it just doesn't really beat anything super well. Like it doesn't like destroy anything.
That's
and my other problem with them. My other problem with them is they add another counter weakness.
Yeah,
I just think like Regirock's still good. We've said Zweilous is good. Vigoroth is good. Diggersby's good. Like there's a lot of counter weaknesses already in some of the top picks. That adding another counter weakness, I think, is a little tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair enough. That actually, someone mentioned in chat that thoughts on why Vig is so valued here. I really don't think it's as good a here as it has been in previous metas. Plenty of great counters to it that maybe just people aren't running enough yet. Toxie, Frostus, etc. Even 0 shield and 1 shield Regirock. Thoughts? I've got my own thoughts, but you guys like the experts, so that you've got your massive brains bigger than my small head.
I was going to mention 1 shield Regirock is a bit of a rough one in a sense because that's not as good of a matchup for Regirock as you might think. Like Vigoroth can actually go straight like body slam and put a lot of pressure on Regirock, and like you have to basically get the bait to win that one. So like it's kind of it's almost a neutral for both sides in the sense. I kind of would rather Vigoroth in that match. Like I'd almost rather be Vigoroth because it's more consistent. Like even if you get baited and lose, like you take Regirock down to farm range anyways.
Right, or you can just 2 shield and just plow right through it. And you come out
Exactly.
But yeah, that is the appeal of Regirock, though, is with the Vigoroth being the most popular counter user here. The fact that it has that Focus Blast threat, can win the 0 shield, can maybe win the 1 shield. If you, come out of a matchup with energy, you can threaten it. Like, I think that's a big appeal of Regirock. But
agreed.
I mean, Vigoroth seems good here, and unless more people start using Drifblim, and I guess for Jellicent, Vigoroth's going to be good, especially when Marowak's the main counter user, ghost type, and it's weak to Bulldoze. Like Vigoroth has some play there. I really think that we need to see Jellicent or Drifblim usage take off to see Vigoroth take a hit. And at that point, then maybe Obstagoon starts to look better.
Yeah. I was going to say that Jellicent's actually a pretty hard counter. It's pretty funny. We have a dotted arrow from Jellicent to Vigoroth because it's move dependent. If you're actually running a Hetz Jellicent, that matchup is can be hilariously flipped in the funniest way possible.
I was actually going to ask about that arrow in particular because I was putting Jellicent on my team and I was like, why is it a dotted line here? What is the deal?
Hetz Jellicent can actually lose the 2 shield matchup quite badly to Vigoroth. The Vigoroth just lands a Bulldoze. It's really kind of weird. Like you wouldn't expect.
That's with Hex though, right?
It's only Hetz Jellicent. Bubble Jellicent is just an absolute destruction of Vigoroth. Like you will win that. Don't even worry. Unless they use both their skills and use 0 or something. But I mean, actually, in that case, you've already kind of won.
That was still a Jellicent win from memory. I think Jellicent still wins the 0 to 2 shield in even health, obviously. Which
with Hex.
Oh, with Hex. No, not with Hex.
Are you thinking Bubble Beam or Ice Beam for the charge move, though, Steve?
Both. And if you're,
I was going Bubble
for the Hex version or for the Bubble version.
Yeah, I was thinking Bubble. I was on the wrong track.
Either move, you'll crush it. Like just the bubble damage in general, with the complete resistance and basically forcing Vigoroth to land like a Bulldoze. Straight Bubble Beam, you're going to destroy Vigoroth. And if you go straight Ice Beam, you're going to destroy Vigoroth. If you go straight Shadow Ball, if you're running the single move Jellicent with Bubble Shadow Ball, maybe that might get sketchy.
I mean, hey, you can only get so many Jellicent Frillish candies from Go Battle League, right?
I'm only running
What moveset do you guys all like best on Jellicent in this meta?
I personally favour Bubble Beam, and Shadow Ball, but Jellicent's one of the most annoying Pokemon to pick a moveset for. Because it's kind of Bubbles is worse fast move, sort of in terms of parameters, but you kind of need Bubble to be consistent against Vigoroth. And also, if you're running Hex, Ice Beam, and Shadow Ball, which is a bit less consistent against Vigoroth, anyway, your energy management's quite inefficient because all of your charge moves are 55 energy. So to kill anything, even if you just want to chip something before it reaches its charge move, or if you don't want to spend that much energy, you have to spend the full 55, which is one of the annoying things about the Hex set. So to avoid that problem, you have to resort to Bubble Beam, but Bubble Beam by itself's kind of rubbish. So it's always an awkward decision with Jellicent movesets. But I think overall probably Bubble Beam, Shadow Ball, because the Vigoroth matchup, you have a cheap charge move. I think that's what I prefer.
I mean, it feels like I wanted to run Hex in this meta. I really wanted to, but then it was just like the Vigoroth matchup. That alone just tells you, fine, I'll run Bubble, whatever. It's like Hex is really good kind of outside of that. It does do a lot for you. That, the energy generation is great. Ghost it's really nice, but just not in this meta, I don't think, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wanted to do Hex as well, but the other thing I didn't like is if you run, because with Hex, I think you definitely would go Ice Beam, Shadow Ball. And I think that's probably the best set for Open, in my opinion. But that set actually loses to Regirock. And I didn't like that. The fact that my water type would be losing to Regirock. So, yeah, I think between the Vigoroth and Regirock matchups, probably run Bubble. But I would consider maybe Ice Beam, Shadow Ball, just because Ice Beam gives you some better grass coverage. But I do see the merit for Bubble Beam, like Nesabethan was saying.
Yeah. The thing about this meta, though, is you might, I think in Open, you definitely want the grass coverage. But if I looked at the meta overall, there's not a lot of grass. Venusaur is, because Abomasnow is going to be actually only neutral to Ice Beam, so you're going to be using Shadow Ball against that anyways. The only main one, this is my big disinformation campaign, is the Tropius person right now, is don't run Ice Beam. Terrible idea. But I think you can probably forego it here just because Venusaur is probably the main, and I'm pretty sure Venusaur doesn't like taking Shadow Balls anyways.
Mm-hmm. Well, Zweilous as well.
Oh yes, that's true. I forgot about Zweilous.
Oh, that's a good call.
Ice Beam. Yeah.
Because otherwise you're walled.
And Mandibuzz.
Mm-hmm.
But there's actually more reason to run it than I realized.
I think the Dark types are probably the strongest argument for Ice Beam as a coverage move.
Yeah.
I know in the early tournaments, I've been seeing a lot of both Ice Beam and Shadow Ball being used around the clock. I don't know if I assumed the other move was Bubble Beam. I assumed it was a Bubble Beam plus one or the other, but both of them have had some serious play in these very early cups. So I guess Shield.
What would you run?
I would.
Oh, yeah, you go.
I would probably run Bubble and then the two new moves, Ice Beam and Shadow Ball, just because I'm very adverse to Bubble Beam. I've never been a huge fan of the move, other than if I need to use it. But even on Suicune, I'll do Ice Beam, Hydro Pump usually. I don't know. I'm not big on bait moves to begin with. And I really like what both Ice Beam and Shadow Ball give you in this meta. And in Open, I prefer Hex, Shadow Ball, and Ice Beam, so it just feels just to that while not, eating it hard Vigoroth. So that's what I would opt for.
Yeah.
Steve, what is this Build a Jellicent Community Challenge, by the way?
Oh,
yeah.
I actually forgot about that. That was that was from a couple must have been a stream a week ago or so from a Labyrinth Cup stream. Forget about that. Don't worry about that. Don't look at the man behind the curtain. Type of deal. Yeah, that outdated. I've been streaming Nuzlocke for a couple of days. Haven't even been looking at it, doing pogo stuff. So I've been distracted from the channel point side of the forest. We could have set up something properly for this thing. Make him build the Jelly Boy.
But what if we want you to build a Jellicent Nuzlocke?
In leaf green, it might be a bit difficult. We can try our best.
I don't see the problem there.
Yeah, look, understood. If we get the channel points, I don't know what we'll do. I guess we'll just.
You get a Politoed and you get a Banette and you put them in the Pokemon Center together and see what happens.
Leaf green's Kanto, so I'm thinking like, look, we've got Ghost Water, so I guess you go Gengar. Tentacruel can probably get you there. We'll catch them both. We'll name them both thingy. We'll name them both whatchamacallit, Jellicent, and we'll just run to the hills. Take it or leave it. But Mel could make build another one.
Yeah, Mel, put up a poll.
What, build all of the Jellicents. Go find, just keep finding Frillish, keep building. Nuzlocke, only use only Jellicent. Jellicent themed Pokemon Nuzlocke party. Distraction. Labyrinth Cup team building article is one that we have not touched on this stream yet. Another one from the Go Stadium team who do these people do enough? These ladies and gents. Now I've got the Labyrinth Cup graphic here, and then it is just a graphic. Okay. I thought that there was words around it, but I was thinking of the words that are on the screen. So this is actually where it does say that the winning formula thing about Vigoroth and Diggersby, with 70.6% of those, again, early teams, small sample size, running Vigoroth, and the remaining 29.4% having Diggersby on their team. So in those early, was it 17? Yeah, 17, which doesn't speak for everything and does speak to, certain skill levels and whatnot, what have you. They are very good. Very good. I'm actually a little bit surprised that Diggersby has been so good. And we haven't talked about Diggersby too much on this stream. What are your kind of thoughts on Diggersby in this cup?
It's good.
Enough said. Moving on.
I mean, it has that ground coverage, right? Which makes it good to cover, like Galvantula, and Marowak, Regirock. And the one thing that kind of appealed about it to me is the fact it doesn't take up that water typing like a Whiscash or a Quagsire. So just depending on how your team is shaping up, I've had a team draft I was looking at where, I was running a Diggersby and a Politoed, which you can't do if you take like a Whiscash or Quagsire. And, both of those were looking to pair decently well with a Galvantula, for example. So now I can run like a Galvantula Diggersby and a Galvantula Politoed core.
And look at the graphic. It's right there.
Yeah, I was actually just putting that out, that bottom line. I was actually just waiting there in silence, waiting for Twastell to then say, oh, Lola Ninetales, Toxicroak.
But yeah, I think that's one of the biggest appeals about it to me. Is it's not taking up that water slot. So if you want a ground type, but you also want to run a water type in a different slot, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
You could also run instead of Politoed, you could run Jellicent, for example. There's different options.
Yeah, for sure. So actually, it's got. I'm figuring out this graphic for the first time. It's got the numbers here talking about the different little sections of the graphic. The 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I guess if you start at the 1, YTX Pikachu did do that data usage, which I think is. I don't think I can really zoom in. Oh, I guess I could kind of zoom in. Nope, that's the wrong way, actually. We won't zoom in. We've got like the picks that were being used most, and then their overall usage percentage, and then the gold usage percentage, so how many winning teams it was on. And then I think this is the silver usage being, or silver medal. I don't know if that's exclusively second. I'm assuming ties count.
No, I think silver is one loss more than gold, basically.
Yeah. So that
like if
tied
the gold was
sort
a
of
5-0, the silver would be a 4-1. But if I think if everyone that tied for first was like 4-1, then I think silver would be 3-2, but I'm not entirely sure.
That should be correct. Yeah.
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 But I mean, it came out that Vigoroth was, super overperforming because Vigoroth is just OP. But again, as Twastell said earlier, we can't read too much into it because it is early meta. Like, it isn't even official Labyrinth Cup, so people also might have been running more spicy than they might in a ranked tournament. Trying thing. But if it works, then maybe we will. And then, turns out it didn't work. Never mind, we won't use it. And then they've also got this. Surely we can zoom in control. Plus, why is that going backwards? Oh, this is wacky. That's way too wacky.
Everything's backwards in Australia. They're alphabetical order.
Dang it.
We're on to you, Steve.
We'll figure out something someday. You're breaking up. But it's surely most people have seen these sorts of graphics pop up around Twitter before. They're like kind of good pairings, things that kind of is proportional to frequency of the pair, the line width. So these massive lines are meaning that Vigoroth, Alolan Marowak, and Ninetales Alolan appearing together just all the time. They are like the big meta 3, right? Like, if you had to say what are the 3 most meta mons, I feel like those 3 are surely it. Like, heaps of people have them for a start, so it's not like Regirock, who is good but not around that much. These ones, like, most people that have been doing especially Sylph tournaments for a while have got these mons, and they're also like good in GBL. I feel like Vigoroth a little less. You're a little less likely to have Vigoroth if you're a hardcore GBL player, because it kind of shines most in condensed metas, I feel. But I guess this isn't a very condensed meta, and it's still good. So maybe I'm wrong. But I
think Vigoroth, in terms of GBL, Vigoroth's gonna be something that we see creep up a little bit more. It got quite a bit better against Azumarill because of the bubble nerf. But you're right that it hasn't really been around in GBL as much, and is very much a Sylph like all-star, really shining in these pick 6, bring 3 formats.
I guess that's because it also operates as that like really good safe swap, even when your opponent is like expecting it. So it's like, they have to really have Drifloon. What was that? Sorry?
Every time I see one, I always assume that they're going to have it in the back, and then they do have it in the back. But sometimes it is still pretty challenging to actually like deal with it. But like it's almost like you can see it coming. Like, the thing you should do is almost lead with it, because no one would ever see it coming.
Stop taking my strats, man. That's not cool.
All right, everyone watching is now going to start leading Vigoroth against Tangent.
Oh, this is smart. We'll start an information campaign. Lead Vigoroth. Everyone, lead Vigoroth. It is the ultimate strat. And then we just counter it in the lead. It's genius.
But if you lead Vigoroth, then they can safely swap Vigoroth into your lead.
No, they can't. Vigoroth's not good against a Vigoroth with energy. That's like two things Vigoroth doesn't want to see: Drifloon and another Vigoroth with an energy lead.
Yeah.
And that's just a shield advantage and switch lock machine. Just take it all, baby. You're going to be losing one of these things, guaranteed, in the old Vigoroth mirror. But other ones that are kind of like, I mean, I was going to point out the Abomasnow one, how it isn't linked at all with the Alolan Ninetales, because it can't be. Has that actually gone into making... I can't really tell if it... No, it hasn't. I was going to say, like, maybe it's been made in such a way that the things next to each other don't link up, because they've, like, ordered it by types or anything, but I guess it's way too hard to order things by type when there's so many kind of dual types flying around and the like. But there are kind of some other big names there. I mean, Toxicroak. Toxicroak is one that I saw a lot of early on, which I guess this is a snapshot of the early on meta, but I haven't actually seen that much Toxicroak as it goes on. Now, I guess that's because you're using up your ground type on a fighting type that you could get with Vigoroth, and fighting type isn't really that desired, so you're not really...
It's fighting poison.
Oh, you're right.
It just has Mud Bomb.
Man, I need to stop talking. I'm just going to zip it. You guys run the stream. I'll just be over here.
I wish we had a fighting ground type. That sounds really cool, but not yet. I don't think any in the main series games either, though, right? Someone who knows more about Pokemon can correct me.
I only played through Gen 3 in the main series games, so at this point I'm just in this like mysterious abyss of more Pokemon just keep showing up and I'm supposed to figure out what they do.
I'm a Gen 4 guy, so I'm in this similar abyss of what is a Ferrothorn? Jellicent who? I only found out like last week that there were a male and a female Jellicent form, so it's like, oh, okay.
I don't even know what Gen Jellicent is because we waited for it for so long.
It's 5. Because remember when Gen 5 dropped, we were looking at it for Cliffhanger, and then they never brought it out.
We had it already tiered.
Yeah. Same with Mandibuzz.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jellicent is at least a name that I've been hearing for a very long time. So because I would have assumed that it was Gen 5, but at this point I literally have no idea. It's also up in the air.
Rambling Rabbit says there's no fighting grounds.
Yeah, I think that's one that's on my wish list, along with Fighting Electric. I don't think we've gotten yet in Pokemon at all, and I think that would be a cool typing.
Is there any Fighting Ghost? Because that's what I want to see.
No. Wait, no, there is. I want to say it's Gen 7. It's called like Marshadow. Because that's the Fighting Ghost set is the Lucario set that's yet to have something that resists it. It's neutral coverage because there's no normal ghost in the franchise.
That's true.
Normal ghost would be a very nice typing.
Yeah, very interesting. What kind of Pokemon they would put that on? I don't know.
Yeah.
A regional form of Noctowl or something like that.
Oh, snap. Yeah. Yeah, I guess Noctowl could also potentially go the dark route though, as opposed to Ghost maybe. I mean they'll draw anything. Doesn't matter. Could be anything. We'll wait.
Probably the normal Psychic.
Yeah. Could be any.
Yeah.
Now we've gotten into the Pokemon Go Pokemon main series strategy guide.
All right, so Game Freak, next one up. We've given you all the types to use. Is Game Freak even still doing it? I feel like they're not. I feel like it moved on from Game Freak for some reason. Maybe it moved to Game Freak.
Also, someone, Sir Corey was asking a question. What Politoed moveset would you recommend?
Haven't we already been over this? I thought this happened earlier in the stream.
Politoed. Surely there's only. Oh, right, with the Blizzard/Earthquake. Yeah, that discussion did happen earlier in the stream.
And Return as if you can get your hands on it as a third option.
Yeah,
NHoff?
Yeah, I think Blizzard is what you go if you plan to swap into it, and Earthquake is what you go if you want to lead it. That's basically what the strategy is in GBL with it, because if you put it in the back and you expect to swap to it, it's likely that you'll see a grass come in response, and then Blizzard lets you threaten that. If you lead with it, you want to have coverage against the Mirror Match and against Jellicent, so you'd want that Earthquake. And if you see a grass in the lead, you're not staying in even if you do have Blizzard, so it's less important. So kind of pivoting around whether you want to invest the Elite TM and what the different moves cover across your team, and then position it within your line of 3 accordingly would be my suggestion. And then if you have Return, like, go for it. It's really cool. But also kind of sketchy.
Not the ultimate Pokemon Return. It's not a you need to use Return. It's a
no.
You could.
It's a if you have a mysterious trainer under level 20 or whatever in your area, then maybe try for it.
My sister just started playing, so then we can.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the right way to go, right? Just get people into the game so you can exploit them for all their low level return mons.
No, it's not something I would use in Sylph. Is how I would sum up Return Politoed or any of those like shenanigan return Pokemon. But
yeah, if it's not available to everyone, I try to steer clear or something like that. Like even if I was to find someone who just started the game. But I mean, if you had it, it's like a good set on Politoed. But I would personally go Earthquake but Blizzard is really good. Sometimes even just the threat of Blizzard is really good. I've actually faced, like, I switched to a Polytoad because I kind of had to in GBL and got faced off with a Probius, and like I just charged up to Blizzard and threw the Weather Ball and they shielded it. They charged up to another Blizzard, which I don't have, and threw it in, and they shielded both of them. They were terrified.
You love to see it.
That's the other nice thing about Polytoad. That's the other nice thing about Polytoad is it doesn't fall to like Vine Whip as quickly, so you can, like, if your opponent's like, okay, I'm gonna farm them down, they quickly realize that you're tankier and you don't have the ground typing, so you can get to 2 Blizzard baits. I assume the Tropius was Air Slash, but still, it's like that. Yeah. They think they can just farm it down, and it's like, wait, this isn't dying as fast as Shadow Swampert does.
Personally, I kind of like Blizzard. To be honest, in this cup, I feel like Earthquake certainly has some big uses, but I feel like a lot of those uses, Weather Ball also kind of does a bit. Obviously, you know, we've gone over this. You're going to be a little bit stuck up against water types, for example. You're not exactly loving that spot, but I feel like Blizzard gives you a lot of big hits to some other things that is very nice to have.
Yeah,
but you can kind of go either way in this cup.
Not a lot of water types. It's just really volatile.
Your team comp too, I think. Again, yeah, if you want to, if you need better water matchups, like, your team's a little weaker to opposing Polytoad, Jellicent, Rainy Castform, then you might want to go with the Earthquake. But you're right, the Blizzard is a nice threat for grass types in particular. Also like Zweilous and some other flyers.
Yeah. I think we've hit the part of the morning where we're going to start hearing some Australian wildlife sounds that have historically ruined many YouTube recording sessions when they, the cockatoos and the kookaburras all begin. But nonetheless, we will charge forward regardless of them. Maybe the microphone is pointed the wrong way and it won't pick up, but it always seems to. But
can we get an Australian wildlife noises stream with Steve sometime?
Yeah, I'll sit outside, just meditate. We'll meditate. Just sit quietly while hearing very loud sounds. But I think we've covered a lot of the ground that we kind of wanted to for the Labyrinth Cup, like from the team building side of the forest. That is obviously team building. The bottom line is that it is very complicated. There is a lot going on. You can go in a lot of different ways, and at the moment, people still kind of are. If we go back to that meta snapshot pick, like seeing this many Pokemon on the main graphic is good, and like they're all pretty viable. A lot of the time, you kind of end up with a meta sort of snapshot sort of image that, there's 3 Pokemon that are all doing the same role, but a lot of the time you kind of want to use one most of the time. Like this one is the best one, so probably just use this. Whereas this one, there's a lot of side grade action, like a lot of side grade action and some serious side grade action. Like, you've got Mandibuzz and Zweilous in the same slot there, and they are not doing the same role. Like, same role, but they're doing it in very different ways. You've got Zweilous doing Dragon Breath damage everywhere with Body Slam, Spam, and Dark Pulse is coming. Is it Dark Pulse or I think it's Dark Pulse? And then you've got Mandibuzz there, who is just a bulk machine. If anyone watched the All-Star Invitationals coverage and like saw some of the usage of Mandibuzz in that, it can take so many hits. It is absolutely insane. You could swap that thing in and you'll be there till the switch time it comes up. You're not doing lots of damage in return for being so bulky, but it is very good and plays pretty differently to Zweilous, I feel. So there's a lot of different ways to go. And then like in every group here, I'm kind of looking at all of them, and none of them in each group play the same way. So there's like 2, 4, 5, 9, 12. We've got like 16 or 17 mons here that are all doing unique things in this cup. And that's really cool. I'm a big fan of that. And we're covering a lot of different roles as well. Plus, there are these wild card picks here, which we talked about Obstagoon, we talked about them a bit, we talked about Ninetales. Frostless is one that we haven't actually touched on. Frostless is usually like super good. Like if Frostless is in a meta, it's going to be massive. Twastell is almost always guaranteed to be using it, but I don't think he's mentioned Frostless in this stream. What's the deal, Twastell? I thought we knew you.
I think the meta's a little hostile to it. You know, Alolan Marowak we said is everywhere. Regirock's good. Some of the water types are good. I mean, Frostless still has play, especially if Vigoroth's popular. I just think that the other ghost types are potentially better. The Jellicent and the Alolan Marowak primarily. Yeah, I think part of it just comes down to the single type usage, and are you really going to pick it over all the other ghost types? You know, Drifblim, Jellicent, Alolan Marowak, Sableye.
Yeah, well, I'm telling Frostless on you, and Frostless is not going to be happy, Twastell. Not going to be happy. But
has a lot of competition. Has a lot of competition as well from the ice types. Both Ninetales and Abomasnow are very popular, and they have the faster charge move as well, which is obviously a plus in the favorite move with Frostless. So.
Good point.
What you're saying is give Weather Ball to Frostless.
Oh yeah. No. Oh, that would be. I'd probably use it if I had Weather Ball.
It's OP enough. Please don't give Weather Ball to Frostless. Weather Ball is so insane. Like we're seeing Ice Weather Ball coming up in this top right section. We're seeing Water Weather Ball coming in the bottom right here. That's kind of all the Weather Ball action that's going on. There's lots of other Weather Balls that are around.
Wild card Kanto Ninetales.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also Pelip is in here with Weather Ball.
Yeah, don't forget about Vidoroth with its Weather Ball.
Normal type Weather Ball coming? Question mark?
Weather Ball
essentially.
Is clone.
Yeah. It has the same stats as Body Slam, so that's what
the Body Slam is basically normal Weather Ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not called Weather Ball.
My gosh, it does work.
Where's Torterra?
Yeah, what's the deal, Tangent?
Where's Torterra? Does Torterra learn Weather Ball?
One day.
That'd be really cool if it learned Weather Ball Rock, because I know that's a thing that hasn't been Go yet.
Yeah, I was looking at that. That's something that would be really interesting on Light. I think there's not many things that learn Weather Ball Rock, but like I think like Soul Rock and Lunatone are two Pokemon that like are potential someday Weather Ball Rockers.
Those two need some love. Those two could use some love.
Yeah, I did very well with Soul Rock in Sorcerer's Cup when I did my Rainbow team.
I actually just powered up my Soul Rock right now for Love Cup. Just why not?
For Rock Hole.
Rock Hole.
Rock Hole coming soon. Oh dearie me. But I mean, I think does anyone else have anything that they want to say about the Labyrinth Cup that's like they need to get off their chest? That like we have not talked about Hitmontop, and oh my gosh, Hitmontop is the best thing since sliced bread.
Don't start tangent on Hitmontop. We'll be here all day.
Hitmontop is the greatest.
I liked it in this cup initially, but I guess I went out of favor.
Yeah,
for one reason or another.
I ended up going over it just so they wanted the fighting resist, but Hitmontop is really good if you want that fighting user that like is like if you want a Vidoroth counter, so you want a counter user that can beat Vidoroth, but you also want to be more solid in things like Wistache. It's actually pretty good for that specific sort of pickup.
It's more consistent against Vigoroth as well than Tuskark is, because it's not weak to Bulldoze and it's a fair bit bulkier as well.
Yeah, it's only issue is when you use Hitmontop, you kind of get stuck sometimes. Like you're just stuck in a position where either you throw a Stone Edge so you don't debuff yourself, or you end up debuffing yourself and you just
I think that's definitely a downside of it, that it's fastest move. It isn't even that fast compared to some of the other counter movers, other counter users, and it debuffs itself as well, which it gives it quite an awkward moveset to play with.
Yeah, I still think the most impressive thing about it is the fact that it can actually take an Earthquake from Diggersby like right to the face and still just keep fighting.
Does Hitmontop win that matchup, or is it like bait dependent?
It wins very consistently as long as you don't shield the first charge move. unless you're making that gut call, it's gonna be Earthquake, and I'm gonna shield it. But like, basically, you don't want to take the charge move after you've debuffed.
Yeah.
But if you take the Earthquake first, like, you win that matchup quite easily.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. So
I actually
kind of like when you're. Oh.
Go for it.
I was gonna say kind of like when you're using like a Lowland Raikou versus a Registeel or something, and you want to wait until after you throw a Wild Charge to shield.
Yeah, it's like I remember that one because I was looking at Charizardyong and I noticed he mentioned that like Hitmontop lost to Diggersby, and I was like, that can't be right. So I was like, I gotta look up this matchup, and then I posted. And he said, "Oh, good call," and then I think he made an edit to it, so that was good. But it was just funny because it was like it loses to Diggersby. I was like, no, it doesn't.
How dare you, JRE? This is an outrage.
This is Hitmontop.
Be careful with like your default sims or your like mass sims if you're looking at any mons that have a debuff move. Either way, like whether it's like a Wild Charge or close combat, or it's like a Bubble Beam or an Icy Wind or something, those sims can always be misleading. So you have to be careful there and, look a little deeper, maybe sandbox it.
Yeah.
And whenever I find something that's a bit off, I do send it off to Kakuna Matata, PV Poke, and he goes, "Thank you, I'll look into it, fix it up." And he has fixed up some of the stuff that I've seen him do in the past. It's often while I'm like recording a YouTube video or whatever, and I'm like, "Oh, and this does this." Wait, what? It does. This isn't right. Why is it gone for a Shadow Ball and then a Bubble Beam? Do the Bubble Beam first, my guy. There is lots of weird little stuff going on.
I found a really, really funny one. This is completely off topic for Labyrinth Cup, but in UL, I found one where if you put a Steelix against a Melmetal, the Melmetal literally just keeps throwing Rock Slides until it dies. It doesn't throw power ever. It's just like, it's like, what are you doing? Melmetal's like, I guess I'll lose.
That's incredibly strange.
Yeah.
I guess it's just really scared of getting hit by the Earthquake.
I don't know if that, but it can actually take the Earthquake, which is funny. I think it's like I don't think I'm not sure if it's been Fitz yet. It may have been Fitz that I sent that one to him, but that one was like the funniest one I found because like it loses so badly in a situation where like it easily has the win.
By the way, pull one out for Steelix because he's just been so
rough
gone. I mean, he was so good at the start of Sylph, like back at the start of season 1. Steelix was so sick. And then, like, I think Bassidon came along in, like, the 4th cup, Kingdom Cup. And then Steelix just slowly dwindled away. And then I think we, like, last saw it in Sinister Cup, maybe.
It's interesting. I think it was really when Galarian Stunfisk came around. Because actually Steelix had a role because its role was being the thing that destroyed Bassidon.
Yeah,
so it still had a role when Bassidon came around.
There was Registeel as well. That was another nail. And when you had Bastion, then Probopass, then Registeel, then Galarian Stunfisk all coming in as competition on the Steel. And then Melmetal got Superpower as well. So there was just more and more competition coming into the game.
And now we have squishy Galarian Stunfisk as well with a better moveset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Berserker as well. That turned up at some point.
Sidril.
Berserker, no.
Yeah,
Berserker's bad.
Not big on that one. I powered one up, but not a fan.
I want to officially rename Etstadrill from Squishy Galarian Stunfisk to Galarian Funfisk.
Good luck with that.
Just a way more fun version.
Start a petition. We'll see how that goes. You can always rename it in your own game and have it in your heart.
I was gonna say, I'm surprised the Steelix avoided the trash can. I just Galarian Stunfisk isn't in here because it's almost become a tradition this season that Steelix will end up in the garbage can at some point.
Just wait. Steelix is going to get like Weather Ball and it's just going to be super sick. You just wait and see. Weather Ball Steelix coming soon.
No, just give it 2 different Weather Balls.
Yeah.
Weather Ball Steel and Weather Ball.
Or just change Gyro the Weather Ball clone.
If they gave Steelix Mudshot, it would actually be pretty good.
Can it learn Mudshot?
I don't know.
You could just, I mean, even if it doesn't learn it, just give it, weather ball water randomly.
I'm all for making a gyro ball and making it a weather ball clone just so we can have more balls. Gyro ball.
If the ball cup hasn't been made yet, it's coming. It's coming. It's just get beamed, but with
balls.
So much more shield usage. So much more. Oh dear. But I think we may have reached an end. If no one else has anything more to say, particularly, they're like, Tangent's been holding on to more heart picks that just hasn't been covered yet. I mean, XL Lickitung is one that I don't know if it's right to cover yet.
That's why it's a wild card, is actually for that reason. It's like when it reaches its full potential, it's probably main draft worthy. But until that point, it's just like it's not really worth including yet.
Yeah, it's nothing to worry about yet. Yeah.
Wait, are you guys telling me we've been an entire meta without Hoff talking about the beaver?
We have not talked about it yet.
Bibarel will exist as the hardest counter to Alolan Marowak that you can think of, other than now Mandibuzz. But I mean, I love Bibarel.
And a water type.
That's the biggest nail in its coffin this month. Is Vigoroth's the biggest normal type. I mean, I did run it in Sunrise when Vigoroth was also the biggest normal type, but it had Galarian Stunfisk to get at, and here it just feels like you really need to line it on that Alolan Marowak, or I'm sure it does fine versus Alolan Ninetales, but just the Vigoroth is just so demoralizing when you see it come in.
Right. And I think the bigger thing is it takes up your water and normal slots, so
yeah.
Not the best team building decision in most cases.
And like what, two of the biggest slots in this cup? Like,
yeah.
Now, why has Sylph screwed over Bibarel? What's the deal, Sylph? Mel, you must answer for this. This is outrageous. we know Mel isn't on the meta team, but it's all Mel's fault nonetheless.
Yeah, she still has to answer for her crimes.
Exactly right. NHoff will not sleep until she hears an answer, gosh darn it.
Yeah.
But I've got my Quag. That's my water I need.
We also haven't talked about the Metang yet in the trash can.
Yeah. Can you explain the trash can, please? Like, what is the deal?
So the trash can is just things we feel like throwing in there because it's funny. Like things that we try to find things that people like might actually use. It's pretty easy to like throw something that's just like the worst. Like, you could put like a Magikarp in there. Like no one's gonna really use it. You want to pick something that like, Regice, people are like, yeah, I'm really thinking about Regice for this meta. Oh no, there's Regice. It's in the can.
Yeah. So the trash can started like back in season 1. It started because of Camerupt primarily. People kept trying to make Camerupt work. Like back in like Boulder and Tempest, and I think mostly Boulder and Tempest cups. And that was the origination of the trash can. Is there was all these people being like, what about Camerupt? Like, Camerupt's good. Like, how do you make Camerupt work? And it just wasn't good. And so that's how it started. Was like a mon that's like talked about a lot or overhyped and isn't actually good. And so, like Tangent was saying, like the point isn't to put something that's like completely terrible that no one's going to consider. It's more to put something that's a little controversial that a lot of people are talking about, but it's not actually that great.
Yeah, that's where Metang kind of comes in, because actually, if you go to the Tor Breakers article, it's like for the Regirock and for the Regirock Tropius Tor, the very last Tor, like it just shows up as like the last Tor Breaker out of nowhere. It's just like Shadow Metang.
Shadow Metang only needs one move of Psyshock. Yeah, all the way at the bottom. And it's just so absurd that we all just loved it. Yeah, at the bottom of that specific graphic, there it is, right above my name. Metal Claw and Psyshock, Shadow Metang is just, busting apart the meta. And it's not good. It's so bad. But it technically beats those still.
I mean, I think you've heard it here first, guys. Metang, use it right now. Invest. Put it all in.
It's gonna rocket
to the moon, baby.
Yep.
Dogecoin who? It's Metang hour now. With one move.
Yeah, so you can catch it from Arlo, and you don't need to TM it.
Oh, so you could have put frustration on there. I'm sure frustration is useful for some coverage against like Mandibus.
I think if in Sylph someone lands a frustration on you, you have to concede that match.
Insta quit.
Out of honor.
Shock probably has better DPE against Mandibus than frustration.
We could probably check. Probably check. Hang on. All right.
Yeah, we need to answer this right now. We need to know.
We need answers. Okay, let's go to battle. So we're just checking Shadow Matang versus Mandibus. I'm standing frustration here. Matang.
Also, she's adding to the rules that if you land frustration, your opponent has to concede.
Yeah, so that adds
Thanks, Matt.
value. It's infinite DPE.
Matang. Okay. All right, we need to change it to Shadow, which we do up here.
You already did it in the.
Sure.
Oh yeah,
in the autofill.
Total doofus.
Just need to give it frustration.
Gyro Ball who? All right, moment of truth. Starshock, 20 damage, 0.44 DPE. Frustration, 6 damage, 0.08.
It's so bad.
Wow. For 70 energy, you too can do 6 damage to Mandibus. Wow. So
that's why you bait Sideshock and then go for the frustration land.
Just look at the Mandibus health bar right now with a little red between the
wow. How much does Metal Claw do? Like, surely that's getting close. Come on now. 20 plus turns, whatever.
What a surprise.
4 damage. Metal Claw.
Oh, it takes actually extra long because of Air Slash right now as well.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Well, with that, I think we're good here. Use frustration, Matang. If anyone lands a frustration onto a Mandibus in a ranked tournament play, do send it to me.
Good content.
That'll be a video in itself, just the one battle, nothing else. I don't even know if it needs commentary. Just upload.
All right, so I guess I need to do 6 tournaments this month, and then after that,
and you can go into the 7th.
After my rank, I'll just start running frustration Matang.
I want to build one now. Maybe that should have been the channel points goal. It'll be the next channel points goal. Build Shadow Matang. Oh man, I really want to use it. Maybe I'll try it in a practice cup or something, or if we get to that 7th cup. But oh snap. Okay, but seriously, thank you all for showing up. Thank you for coming. Again, Go Stadium, stadiumgaming.gg from Go Stadium. You just come to the site. They've got content, news and articles. You can click right here, and they have so much stuff coming through here all the time. Not only in the Labyrinth Cup, which there is a lot, so go check them out. Mel is probably going to do all the linking because Mel is good like that. You've got Labyrinth Cup Meta Snapshot. You've got the Rose Cup, the Love Cup, sorry, not Rose Cup.
Knock off Rose Cup.
That was actually intentional. It wasn't even a prank.
So which one is your favorite is the real question.
Yeah, pick your favorite hole.
Pick your favorite hole. We've got grass hole, fish hole, fire in the hole, slow hole, hole puncher, electric hole, charm pit, buzz hole, rock hole, tongue hole, stall hole, and Thotechnic hole. That's very nice. That is very nice. A little bit disappointing that I did see charm pit mentioned as disappointed that charm pit hadn't caught on, but favorite hole, rock hole does look nice. Like you're at least going to get some charge moves off, which is cool.
Yeah. Lasagna crab is really fun.
I really need to build a slowpoke though.
Yeah.
Very good.
Slowpoke's actually decent. Because it's if you can get it up to level 51, which you can't, but if you could, it's only slightly lower stat product than its evolutions, and it does have a faster move. So
yeah.
So you've heard it here first. Nesabethan says power up Slowpoke too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
definitely
seriously.
glasses too. Get the glasses. Like make sure you have the glasses.
Yeah, my 2020 Slowpoke is the one that is being powered up. I think I got it's either a 96 or a 98, but it is the one that is going up there once I get enough XL candy.
Does it have the glasses though?
Yeah, the 2020 glasses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I'm holding my phone in one hand for the Twitch chat. But yeah, again, thank you for popping in. Again, actually, tell us where to find you again. The end of the stream, shout out party. Yeah, where can we find you after? Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, MySpace. Where do you want people to go? And let's go reverse this time. We started in the bad alphabetical order. Now we'll go backwards bad alphabetical order, which obviously starts with Tangent.
Of course. So yeah, you can find me definitely roaming around on Twitter. So it's Tangent444. I'm usually lurking around, just commenting on a lot of stuff.
But also moving in with Melgood into Twitch chat, just in general.
Yeah.
Just into the database.
Yeah, I'm gonna start probably getting more into like jumping into the Twitch chats. I haven't done that as much. I sort of just hop into the streams every now and again, just when sometimes if I see people are streaming stuff. But yeah. But I actually haven't even set up an account yet. I'm pretty bad.
Come on, man, get it. You're not following me?
I always have an account. I couldn't if I.
But seriously, thanks for coming on. Twastell, the next in the obvious alphabetical order.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at PogoTWastell. And I have a Twitch, but not sure if or when I will resume streaming again. Life has just gotten busy and all that jazz, but maybe at some point I'll stream again. We'll see what happens.
It'll happen, guaranteed. I'll force you to at some point. And I'm sure we'll have you round in the future as well. Nesabethan, my guy from the homeland kind of deal. Almost.
Yeah, you can find
general
me.
Area.
I'm the same username. I'm the same username everywhere. I use Twitter sometimes. I use Reddit sometimes. I don't use Twitch at the moment, but maybe I will at some point. If you're on Go Stadium Discord server, I might be participating in the discussions on there. So if I'm in Discord too.
Should have rigged up a Go Stadium Discord join link, but I'm sure most people are in Go Stadium. Like, if you're not in Go Stadium, get in Go Stadium. It's the place to be. But I kind of cut you off there, sorry.
No, that's all right. No, so yeah, it is. The discussions on Go Stadium are great. It's a good place to be.
Yeah, and NHoff.
Yeah, you can find me
the last.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at PogoNHoff. And then I'm also in Discord. If you ever have a question about a team or anything in Go Stadium, you can always tag me. Just now I know I'm gonna get 1,000 after this because everyone's so
1,000 for me.
Yeah. And then technically I have a Twitch, but I don't really use it much yet just because I don't have the schedule for it. But I will be tonight. I'm going to be on Alfindiel's Twitch, which I usually am around in there, but I'll be on stream playing Love Cup, which should be interesting because I'll probably use... I know I'm at least using Stall Hole from this Love Cup line because I have the level 41 Chansey, best buddied, and I have a Blissey and a Lolamola, and I might as well make my opponent suffer, so that, among other teams, will be used.
Oh, dear. It says, but seriously, please don't.
Those rules don't apply to me.
Yeah, you've got Go Stadium status, baby. But again,
the real question is, Hoff, are you going to attempt the Love Cup challenge?
Oh yes, the Love Cup challenge. Love Cup meme contest. Here we go. Calling all Love Cup legends win one match with this meme team in GBL Love Cup and win either $25 in Pokecoins or 5 gifted Twitch subs to your channel. So you have to be a legend and above the 2900 MMR ranking. and the first person to tweet Go Stadium proof with a full recording wins, and the win can't come against the mirror team. if you come up against a mirror team though, like mad respect to both of you, but yeah, you have to run Camera Up, Octillery, and Magikarp and win in the Live Cup. The first one who does that and sends it through to Go Stadium, you've got $25 of Pokecoins or 5 gifted subs coming your way, and this is an awesome challenge. Huge fan of it. Magikarp is going to get some wins, and Camera Up good confirmed. It seems weird. You've just put an OP team together and someone's going to win straight away. But yeah, that is there as well. So yeah, thank you again to everyone for popping on. NHoff, Nesabethan, Twastell, Tangent, thanks for being here. Thanks for joining on. It has been a blast, and I have certainly learned, mostly from getting stuff wrong and being corrected, but also in other ways as well. So again, you can check all of these guys out, guys and gals, Twitter, Discord, Twitch, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. And again, in the YouTube video, the links will all be in the description below for everyone's links. And if there's one that someone forgot, then just send it to me, and I'll put it there as well. I forgot. I should probably do the YouTube outro before we raid. Thank you to my patrons and supporters over on Twitch. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, especially that subscribe one. And I will see you all in the next one, whenever and whatever that may be. Might be a tournament run, actually. Labyrinth Cup 6-0 tournament sweep. Stay tuned for that. And subscribe, because this is YouTube, so subscribe. Okay, yeah. YouTube outro done.